Hello everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we're diving into a story that's been setting social media and fan communities abuzz. A shock reveal has everyone talking. Did Jang Ki-yong really invite Ahn Eun-jin to his home for what many are calling a date? What actually happened behind closed doors? Was it a casual meeting, or the beginning of something more? Stick with us as we break down the details, the timeline, and the reactions that have fans speculating non-stop. You won't want to miss this. Let's get started right now. It started the way these stories always do, quietly, almost invisibly, until one small detail landed in the wrong hands and suddenly the entire internet was leaning in. A blurred photo, a timestamp, a single sentence passed along like a match in dry grass. She went to his place. At first, fans treated it like harmless chatter, another rumor in the endless current of celebrity speculation. But then the whispers began to line up, too neatly, too consistently. The same phrasing popping up in different corners. The same alleged timeline. The same nervous insistence from people who sounded less like gossipers and more like witnesses trying not to be seen. And then came the headline that detonated everything. Reveal. Jang Ki-yong invited Ahn Eun-jin to his home for a date? The word date is where the temperature changed. A home invitation is one thing. Actors share scripts, rehearse scenes, host small gatherings, talk work. But a home invitation paired with a single lauded word? That's when a casual story turns into a cliffhanger people can't stop refreshing for. According to what's been circulating, unconfirmed, unsourced, but repeated enough to feel dangerously real, the invitation wasn't random. It wasn't everyone's coming over. It wasn't a group dinner that happened to include her. The story being told is sharper than that. Jang Ki-yong asked Ahn Eun-jin to come over personally. And the timing was inconvenient. Too late for a normal meeting. Too private for a public misunderstanding. Too perfect for rumors to explode. The alleged setup is almost cinematic. Tight schedule. A quick exchange. A simple message that could mean nothing, until it's framed as something. Are you free tonight? Come by for a bit. I'll send the address. Words like these are ordinary in real life. In celebrity life, they become evidence. The tension didn't come from what people knew. It came from what people couldn't explain. Because around the same time, fans noticed something else, subtle changes. A sudden silence online. A few posts that felt carefully timed. A schedule rumor that appeared and disappeared. People began reading between lines that weren't even there. Then, a second detail surfaced, again, not confirmed, but repeated with eerie confidence. Someone claimed they saw her arrive. Not at an event. Not at a studio. Not at a restaurant. But near a residential area. Late enough that the street lights were on and the day had already softened into night. That's the moment the story gained teeth. If it was true, even partly true, then it wasn't just about an invite. It was about intention. What do you do when you want to keep something quiet? You don't meet in a crowded cafe. You don't choose a place where cameras love to linger. You choose privacy. You choose control. Choose somewhere the world can't easily follow. And that's where the narrative split into two camps. One side said, it's obviously work. Actors talk. They're friends. People are dramatic. The other side said, then why his home? Why not a meeting room? Why not a public place? Why does this feel like something being hidden? The internet doesn't like neutral answers. It demands a story with a heartbeat. So it started constructing one. It painted the invitation as bold. It painted her arrival as secret. It painted the home itself as the final locked door in a hallway full of questions. And then it added the most dangerous ingredient of all, motive. Some speculated it was a simple, sweet gesture, two people who get along. Two busy schedules finally aligning. A quiet night of conversation away from noise. Others turned it darker, a carefully planned private meet to avoid scrutiny. Because something had already changed between them and they didn't want the world to see it yet. And then, as if the rumor wasn't tense enough, the most unsettling question arrived like a cold breath at the back of the neck. If she went there, why did it stay so quiet? As in the celebrity world, silence is rarely empty. Silence is strategy. Silence is protection. Silence is panic. People began watching everything, every interview clip, every old behind-the-scenes video. Every moment where one looked at the other for half a second too long. And once the brain starts searching for patterns, it finds them everywhere. A smile becomes a clue. A pause becomes a confession. A glance becomes a promise. But the real shock wasn't the invite. The real shock was what came after, the sudden sense that someone, somewhere, wanted this story to spread, and someone else, somewhere, wanted it buried. That's when the rumor stopped feeling like random fan and started feeling like a tug-of-war behind the curtain. Because as the home date narrative caught fire, reportedly triggered a quiet scramble, posts deleted, accounts muted, vague statements circulating without signatures. When the speculation hit its peak, a final detail appeared, small, simple, terrifyingly effective. A line allegedly sent to someone close to the situation. Don't make it bigger than it is. It's the kind of sentence you send when it's nothing. It's also the kind of sentence you send when it's something, and you're scared of what it could become. By the end of that day, the rumor wasn't just trending, it was pulsing. They weren't asking did it happen, anymore. They were asking, what happened inside that house? More dangerously, what happened right after she left? As if this was truly just a harmless meeting, the story would have died quickly. Instead, it sharpened. As if there was a missing scene everyone could feel but no one could prove. And that missing scene is exactly where part 2 begins. What makes a rumor survive isn't the headline, it's the aftermath. The moment after the door closes. The moment after the car pulls away. The moment when everyone expects the story to fade, and instead, it grows close. In the hours that followed, people swore the atmosphere changed. Not in any official way. No press conference. No direct statement. Just a shift, soft, subtle. A room going quiet after someone says the wrong name out loud. Fans started noticing tiny things they hadn't cared about before. A schedule that suddenly looked different. A public appearance that didn't happen. An interview moment where an answer sounded practiced. It could all be coincidence. It could all be nothing. Nothing doesn't trend like that unless it's wearing the mask of something. Then the story evolved. It always does. It wasn't just she visited. Now it became he invited her. He invited her. But he invited her privately. Just privately. But late, not just late. But when nobody would see. Each layer made the rumor more dramatic, more clickable, and also more dangerous. Because the more the narrative hardens, the harder it is for truth to breathe. Even if the truth is mundane, it gets suffocated under the weight of people's imaginations. And yet, the rumor had one feature that made it unusually sticky. It wasn't only about romance. It was about control. Because a home invitation, real or not, signals something specific to the public mind. This was meant to stay inside. And when something is meant to stay inside, people want it outside even more. At this point, a new question took center stage. It was innocent. Why didn't someone shut it down quickly? In celebrity culture, denials are often immediate when a story is clearly false and harmful. But quick denials also carry risks. They can amplify the rumor by acknowledging it. Silence, meanwhile, interpreted as dignity or guilt. Either way, silence becomes gasoline for the curious. So people hunted for indirect signals instead. They rewatched old moments where the two stood close. They analyzed laughter. They matched dates. They debated whether a shared joke implied intimacy. The internet turned into a courtroom with no judge and infinite jurors. And the shock factor returned, this time not as a rumor about the invite, but as a rumor about what happened after. One version of the story claimed the meeting ended quickly, unexpectedly, like something had been interrupted. Another version claimed it lasted long enough to push into the late hours. A third version, the most dramatic of all, suggested someone else was aware and didn't like it. Again, none of it confirmed. Repeated. And repetition is its own kind of persuasion. The narrative became a thriller, 2 stars, one quiet night, and an invisible pressure closing in from the edges. Speculation spiraled. The internet did what it always does, it assigned roles. Jang Ki-yong became either the bold romantic lead or the careless catalyst. Ahn Eun-jin became either the unsuspecting target of rumors or the quiet co-star stepping into a new chapter. And the home became the symbol. Not a place, but a message: privacy, attention, secrecy. But the most gripping part wasn't any of that. The gripping part was the idea that someone might have wanted this to leak. Because leaks have patterns. People started claiming this leak didn't feel accidental. It felt staged, like a breadcrumb dropped in the exact spot where the crowd would stampede. That's when the story shifted from what happened To who benefits? If it was a harmless meetup, a leak only harms reputations. As a planned narrative, a leak could create hype, attention, curiosity, a spotlight without saying anything outright. And if it was something personal that truly needed protecting, then the leak becomes a weapon. So which was it? The truth is, nobody outside the inner circle can know. But what matters in the attention economy is not what's true, it's what people can argue about for days. And this story was perfect for that. It offered intimacy without proof. It offered suspicion without confirmation. It offered romance without a confession. Then, as if the universe wanted to keep the tension alive, one more alleged detail surfaced, short, sharp, and cruelly effective. It claimed a second invitation existed. Not necessarily another home visit. Not necessarily another meeting. The idea that it wasn't a one-off. And with that single rumor, the entire narrative transformed from a question mark into a series. People weren't satisfied with "did it happen" anymore. Now they wanted, "is it still happening?" Because a one-time rumor is a storm. Repeated rumor becomes a climate. By now, the fandom was split into emotional extremes. Some defended them fiercely, furious at how quickly people romanticize or demonize a private interaction. Others leaned into the speculation, treating it like a drama unfolding in real time, demanding the next episode. And somewhere in the middle were the most exhausted. Of all, the ones who just wanted the truth, whatever it was. Because the uncertainty felt like a trap. The cruel twist, even if a clear answer appears, it won't fully stop the story. If it's denied, some will say it's damage control. If it's confirmed, some will say they knew it all along. If it's never addressed, it becomes legend. That's why the final scene of this rumor is so unsettling. Not because it reveals a secret romance. Not because it proves anything scandalous. But because it exposes how quickly a single private possibility can become a public obsession. A home invitation, real, exaggerated, completely misunderstood, has turned into a pressure test for everyone watching. How much do we demand from public figures? How quickly do we turn them into characters? How easily do we confuse speculation with truth? And the most shocking part? The story doesn't need an ending to keep moving. Because the internet has already written one version. If tomorrow brings another blurry photo, another timestamp, another anonymous sentence, the world will rush back in. Hungry again, ready to believe. So for now, the door remains closed. The rumor remains open. And the question still hangs in the air. Louder than any answer. Was it a simple visit, or the start of something they never intended the world to see? In the end, this story may never deliver a clear-cut answer. And perhaps that's exactly why it has captured so much attention. What began as a simple, confirmed rumor about a private invitation quickly formed into a tense narrative fueled by curiosity, silence, and interpretation. Whether the meeting was entirely innocent, quietly meaningful, or something in between, the reaction itself reveals more about us than about the people involved. In a world where every moment can be magnified and every pause dissected, the line between truth and speculation grows thinner by the second. A private space becomes a public question. A lack of explanation becomes a story of its own. And before anyone realizes it, imagination fills the gaps faster than facts ever could. Perhaps the real takeaway isn't whether a date happened or not. Quickly we turn possibilities into conclusions, and how easily we forget that behind every headline are real people navigating lives under constant scrutiny. Thank you sincerely for staying with this story from beginning to end. Your time, curiosity, and thoughtful attention are what give stories like this their power and relevance. We appreciate you for reading, questioning, acting with us. Until the next story unfolds, thank you for being here.